Good morning and welcome to another one of Drew's book review. So today's book is going to be on Orson Scott Card's Children of the Fleet. So a book in the Enderverse. For those of you that know about Ender's Game or read it, if you haven't, I highly recommend it. It is a fantastic book. In fact, Ender's Game is one of my favorite all-time science fiction novels. Anyway, so this one does take place in the Enderverse. Essentially, this is after all the Formic Wars, after Ender's story. And the battle school has essentially been converted into what is called Fleet School now. So what we have is our character who is like Ender. His name is Dabit. Essentially, he is a character that has had this kind of tragic history to him. He has essentially been an orphan. He's been raised by someone who he thought was his mother. He doesn't know anything about his father, who he is, where he's from. But he is this highly super intelligent kid that eventually maneuvers his way into getting into Fleet School, where only the world's most intelligent children go. So the Beats character really has a lot of parallels to Ender's character in terms of the character archetype, which we see within this book. I mean, you've got a super intelligent kid who's been singled out, who's had a hard time making friends. He has to prove himself to his peers as he makes his way through Fleet School. He has to somehow demonstrate how he's different and earn their respect. He's thrown into the worst, what apparently is the worst group of kids within the school, where he has to somehow make a team of them. Now, the whole purpose of Fleet School, it's been reformatted to be about taking on the challenges of interstellar colonization, and that's really where the curriculum has changed and the new focus of that curriculum. So it's no longer about battles or fighting wars or things like that we saw within the Ender's Game book itself, but the character archetype I found was very, very similar to the Ender character. Now, whether that's a good thing or bad thing, perhaps maybe I'll let you read the book and you can decide for yourself whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing. There are a lot of references to Ender throughout the book. There's a lot of situations where we learn from Dabit and his desire to be like Ender or be better than Ender in everything. And so there's definitely that aspect of it. And of course, like all the other Ender books as well, each chapter kind of starts off with this conversation between two unnamed characters. So we don't know who is actually having the conversation, who's talking, but we do know that they are talking about Dabit specifically. And it kind of helps, gives us more background, more information about what's going on, the politics behind the decision that they've been making for Dabit and for his purpose at the school and why he's there. The mystery surrounding Dabit's father, kind of slowly we get more and more hints are dropped throughout the story. We do know that Dabit's father is part of the International Fleet, or involved in that organization somehow. What we don't know is who his father is. Although with the hints being dropped, I got a pretty good idea who Dabit's father is. I'm not going to tell you, though. You're going to have to pick it up and read it yourself. I don't want to give any spoilers on that aspect. But essentially, as far as the plot line goes as well, what we have is Dabit has basically been manipulated and controlled by Earthside interests. Once he got into Fleet School, he was immediately kidnapped and basically forced to put himself in a position where he would have to betray the Fleet School to allow an outside force in to take over the Fleet School. Because the situation being is down on Earth, there's brewing or growing global conflict. And there are those on Earth who want the international fleet to get involved in the conflicts that are beginning to build and grow back on Earth. International fleet is strict policy and non-interference on Earthside problems. Their focus is space. That's where they live. That's where they are. They're not going to get involved. But there are people on Earth that don't like that. And so they're using to beat and holding his mother hostage in an effort to have to betray the fleet school and give them access so that they can try and force the international fleet's hand in order to bring them into compliance with their desires. And so the whole book is about Beats thrown into a situation where he has to earn the respect of his fellow children, but he also has to betray them. And like classic Card's children, he really likes to focus on that super intelligent child, and this and a child that just doesn't fit in. Definitely classic Card and classic Card's children. Overall, I really did enjoy the book. Um, with the Beat being a parallel type character to Ender, similar archetype, I found uh, that I'm kind of split on, right? I mean, I love the archetype, I love the Ender character, and I love that type of character, but to have the Beat be that same type of character in the same setting, the battle school, or as it's called, fleet school now, it's like kind of almost like trying to tell another version of Ender's Game story, but it's still enough. It's still pretty good. I have to say, I still really enjoyed it, and I think that you would enjoy it as well, especially if you are a Ender's Game fan, if you're an Enderverse fan. Worthwhile picking up, checking out, and reading. I think that definitely that would be worth it for you if you're a big fan of that. If you have not read Ender's Game yet, you would need to read that before reading Children of the Fleet. I would recommend. But overall, like I said, good book. Really enjoyed it. And as always, don't forget to stay tuned. Next up is going to be The Swarm. This is the first book in the second Formic Wars trilogy. So this, going back to the Formic Wars, the initial alien invasion of Earth, before Battle School, before Ender, before Children of the Fleet, before all that. So definitely stay tuned for The Swarm that is coming up next. And as always, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And all links to my social media profiles will be in the description below. I want to thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time on the next episode of Drew's Book Reviews. Thanks so much. You have a great day.